Hello there, Qckslvrslash here, and today I have another How I Play video. It's been a very long time since I've done one of these, and doing the decision-making videos I realized I need to do more. Partly just because I do enjoy them, it lets me pass on some experience, but also I need to get better at live commentating something. Commentating while I'm actively playing, and the reason for that is I'm going to be doing a stream. A bunch of people have asked me about it, and I've got tomorrow or today off. So Friday, March 24th at 3 p.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern, I am going to do a Twitch stream. And it'll go for as long as it goes. We'll see how many people are around, what's going on. And hopefully some of you can drop in, say hello, join me for a game or two, or just have fun and chat. But today, it's about the Konigsberg, and this ship I loved. And before this, well, you've kind of got some junk in the German line. The Dresden, Tier 2 St. Louis, really fun. And then it gets a little worse. Then you have the Karlsruhe, which, in my opinion, is really bad. But then you get the Konigsberg, and it's amazing. It was great when its rear turrets couldn't turn 360, and now they can. And then this ship lets you down because you have to leave it for the always exploding Nuremberg. And the real difference, and you can kind of see it here, is Nuremberg's just a lot bigger. More superstructure, and you lose the 360 turrets, which really does make a difference in the knife fights. Anyways, the way I've got mine set up, main armament 1, aiming mod 1, damage control 1, consumables, I've got premium DC and hydroacoustic, and if there was a spotting plane, I would probably run it instead. As the captain goes, preventative maintenance, last stand, expert marksman, demolition expert, and concealment. And these two skills are really about those tier 7 matches you wind up in. With this ship being a tier 5, quite often you end up under-tiered because tier 3 and 4 have those limited matchmaking brackets that means there's just not as many games for tier 5s to load into, so it kind of naturally winds up a little up-tiered. But we're going to hop straight into a battle. Hopefully it's not a terrible one, and I'll just try to point out some of the things that make this, according to Warships Today, my best ship. And a lot of that comes down to I had back-to-back 7-kill games in this 6-7 months ago, right when I was starting the channel out. And the first one I put up, and then the second one I'm like, I can't commentate 2 of these games like one day after the other. So that's how the Another One Bites the Dust video came about. I'm like, I wanted to share it. You know, I in 2 volleys killed 2 different Omahas from sub 5 kilometers. Like, it was a fun game. And looking at this, I'm pretty happy. Bunch of battleships, so could be better there because this thing eats through cruisers. But only a couple tier 6s, no tier 6 aircraft carriers because, well, aircraft carriers are one of the things that low tier cruisers just can't deal with. Now, Wargaming's been talking about changing tier 4 and 5 carriers, removing those alt strikes, and there's a lot of hatred around it, but I can also understand it. Even the best equipped AA cruisers at this tier really can't do anything about a manual strike. So it means really skilled aircraft carrier players hopping into low tier battles just walk around with the whole match. So I can understand where they're coming from. I don't know if it's the best solution, but we may find out and maybe they'll come up with something better. So a week ago, I was on the Warships podcast, and the final subject was how to cruiser. And one of the big things I pointed out is cruisers really come down to positioning. They're very fast ships. You know, the other day I pointed out in that first decision-making video when I was in my Shratsu, like, there's cruisers that are as fast, if not faster, than destroyers. And case in point, I'm doing 33 knots, still accelerating. That kind of speed gets you into trouble really fast. If I were sailing straight ahead, I'd be in the exact same spot as that game. So what I talked about was remaining in side of kind of the blanket of fire of your friendly ships. So I've started off sailing to the south here, and my main reason is I want to displace myself so that I'm in a unique position to shoot. but I want ships around me, my allies, to be in gun range, an effective gun range of anything I might come against, so that I'm not caught out alone. A battleship caught out alone, it can tank through the damage. A destroyer can choose to disappear. Hopefully, if they're good. Cruisers don't have the armor, they don't have the stealth. They've got the speed, and I think that's why they end up paying a lot. So off the start, we've got this enemy Emerald, which thin-walled British cruiser. I should be able to do some serious damage. First volley, I wash her decks. And sadly, you do have to count on RNG. Now I'm doing one of the things I've always done in the Konigsberg. Because so much of your gun power is on the stern, 66%, you tend to actually do very well putting your butt towards the enemy. And it keeps you from closing too quickly. Now fortunately, I'm undetected still because our Gade put a nice big smoke wall up that's pretty much blocking anything, and none of the enemy planes are over my way. So now that I've got the opportunity, I'm just going to start working down this Konig. And this is how you have to treat battleships. I'm not going to let myself get inside, we'll call it 11 kilometers. 10k I've always dictated as that's suicide range. You get inside 10k, if the battleship is worth their weight in salt, they're going to nuke you. So you can see he turned in, I'm turning out. Once again, 2 rear-facing guns, so I'm not giving up a ton of firepower by doing this. And there we go, twin fires, just what I want. You can see our CV is about to drop on him as well. And I get a 3rd fire. So you know he's going to be putting these out. He's going to get a flood here. He's just waiting for those torpedoes to hit, and then I can pretty much guarantee you the fires are all going to disappear. And there they go. So now I've got to wait about 10 seconds before I really think about trying to light more fires. And you notice I stopped shooting. And the reason is, now I'm not risking any fire. I'm no longer detected, and it's been long enough, so now I'm going to go for more fires. And this is the kind of things you have to do in your head, because a damage control stays active for more than the instant. So you're not gaining anything. You'll get a bit of damage in, but in my situation, I'm not really helping myself by firing right away, and I'm only opening myself up to return fire. Now unfortunately, I haven't managed to spark another fire anywhere, but I know I'll get one, and there it is. So that one's going to stick. And it looks like he's aiming straight at me, so I've got my rudder hard over. I want to cut under these shells, get my bow in, and my bow's not protecting me. This is just about being as small a target as possible. Gonna wiggle back and forth, try to bait a shot out one way or the other, and just give that Gade time to launch the death strike at torpedoes. And there it is. So we've got 1 kill, and yeah, I did close closer there, but I kind of knew the situation. So next up, we've got a Congo, fairly fast ship, got a lead by a decent chunk, and you'll notice as I play, I tend to overlead to begin with. And a big part of that is, in my head, I'm aiming for, like, if this ship is at, like, full sprint mode, where are they going to be? And then I start to walk it back. And part of the reason I do that is hitting the bow to light a fire is pretty difficult. So maybe that first volley gets you there. And I had to stop my rudder just a bit, and that's one of the downsides of the Konigsberg. You can outturn your guns. And it's time to focus on this Emerald. So I'm already swapping over to AP, and you'll notice I'm going to keep turning. I do not want to give him a broadside. The ship doesn't have a lot of armor to begin with. We've got some pretty deadly torpedo bombers coming in. Get the plane up just in case they come for me. And I can really just focus in on working with this Emerald. And same thing as if you're dealing with a battleship. I'm just going to wiggle my booty. I don't need all 3 guns firing. And I should be able to just work them over. Now, the Emerald's equal tier ship. So in theory, he should be pretty deadly. Now, everyone knows I dislike the Emerald, so I'm not giving him much credit, but I'm not letting him get close. I'm not giving him the chance to really damage me. I know my gun arcs are good. I know I can stretch this thing out to 13, 14k and still hit things. So I'm going to do just that, and you'll notice more and more as I open the range, he's becoming less effective, and I still got Citadels out there. So I pick up the kill, 54,000 damage, and time to turn back in. Now just looking at the map, because you have to, things haven't gone well in the north, but they've gone decently in the south. So what I want to do position-wise, I want to put myself, and you're not going to see me do this too often because I'm opening myself up to fire from two sides, but I'm going to head towards B while still trying to get close enough to this Congo to provide assistance to our New Mexico. So I'm kind of angling in just enough that that Congo's going to drive into my gun range any second now. There we go. And we'll try leading. Looking over my shoulder, seeing what those ships are doing. And one of the fortunate things here is when you do look at it, a lot of their ships that were in the north are still very far north. This gives me time. And this is why so often I say you can't really go right to the edge of the map. You think you're being useful, but you've taken yourself so far away from supporting allies that you're just not going to be of use. Now hopefully I can get a fire here on this Congo, and any second now I'm actually going to swap targets. There is a Nicholas ahead, and we want to get rid of him. Now our Kamikaze has done a great job so far, but those final torpedoes, oh, they do hit. That looked like it was going wide. So with the Kamikaze actually capturing B, I know there's no one in there right now. So I'm going to hug up to this coast. I can be concealed by this edge of land and the smoke, and hopefully get a little closer to their fleet. But once again, I have to be careful. That's a Bayern, and I've got a tricky decision to make. I was hoping I could come up and turn right and actually start falling down to the southeast. I don't feel that's an option. But because I don't want to do nothing when I've come all the way up here, I'm actually just going to throw my torpedoes at the edge of land and then circle about. And if you are in a situation like this, you know, the greedy call, you drive out and try to do what you're originally going to do. And I might have gotten away with it, but I can't be sure. Our Kamikaze doesn't need my support. He's a stealth DD. It's up to him to remain undetected. There's no aircraft going for him or anything. The ships that are going to benefit more from my support are my fleet, and I'm going to benefit from their support. This is once again coming back to positioning. Being strategic with where you put yourself. You know, I'm no match for a pair of Bayerns and a buddy that will all be in effective gun range of me. However, by falling back, I've now got a Congo, a Bayern, and a New Mexico to kind of help me not so much split the damage with, but yeah, kind of split the damage. The focus isn't going to be as vast. And the Budgioni got taken out by our Kamikaze, who is doing some serious work. I'd like to think I've done really well this round. 60,000 damage, not too bad. It's triple my own hit points. And I'm not out of it yet, but I've made a bit of a miscalculation. I turned in when I shouldn't have. I was hoping to get a little closer to the Hatsuharu, and it was just a bad play. But now I'm caught because I can't justly turn kind of broadside to get out of here, so I'm just going to keep wiggling. And I'm actually thinking still very strongly about that Hatsuharu, who's probably thinking about me. And I want this Bayern to fire, and there it is. I'm going to eat some damage, but now my rudder can come hard over. This is that opportunity to get out. and hopefully an opportunity to work this Hatsuharu over. Fire off. I'm going to put some torps in the water. Now, you'll notice once again, they're not aimed at where the Hatsu is, but perhaps where they're going to be. I could have put them at the Bayern, but to me, my battleships should be able to take on theirs, so I'm more worried about that destroyer, because he can do a hell of a lot of damage in short order. And if I'm lucky, I'll get another fire here. Still got hydro, so I've got a good opportunity at spotting these torps for my own guys. And if I didn't have last stand, I'd probably be sailing straight into those. Alright, with that disaster avoided, that Bayern's turning in, lead a little inside, and I'm just going to open range. Once again, I said earlier, I really do feel this ship is very strong at the longer ranges, so I don't need to be this close, particularly not against these targets, so I'll just work them over from range, slowly build up damage, let that kamikaze work things over with torps. That's the other big thing. He's proven himself to be very strong. So I can trust that he's going to keep those battleships at bay. We've got the cap points. There's really no benefit to me doing something crazy. That Bayern's starting to get close to the outer edge, so I need to start turning in, or he's going to sail beyond any kind of gun range. And I'm just praying for that fire. Get a little extra damage out of this match, because realistically it's over. Their Hatsuharu's pretty much taken him out of the fight. He's not in a position to be torpedoing us, and our kamikaze continues to chase their Bayern off the map. Look at that nice tight grouping. I wish I got those more. Right onto the ship. 3 non-penetrations, of course. And the Bayern sees me, so change my course a little bit. And this is the other reason I like fighting at range, is you can, react. Watch when the shells go. 12 kilometers, it takes them a bit of time to get there. And you can almost put yourself in a different position than you were in just the time between them firing and you shooting. So, and the damage continues to add up. More fires, and I'm just going to keep working them over. And now I'm going to reclose this Hatsuharu because I want to get him, or wanted to. And I thought that was a really good game for me. 76,000 damage, only 1 kill, but 210,000 credits, 2,000 experience. It's definitely respectable. Second on the team. No surprise the kamikaze took the top there. He was working things over with his torpedoes and doing a very good job of it. And seeing him do that, I knew I didn't have to be as aggressive. I could just give him time, and he was going to get damage in. So there's no sense to throw myself away. That's kind of why I kept pulling out. And too often I think ships get a little overzealous. Yeah, that game was more or less in hand, but if I suddenly die because I get careless, we had that New Mexico, I think, was on only 1,000 or 2,000 health. We were a little beat up, so let your stealthy ship do some of the work for you. I could still fire at range. I got more damage, and I'm happy with the game. And ultimately for me, I prefer to win than have some sort of stellar game. And as long as I contribute to that win, I'm content. And I feel I did here. Got rid of that Emerald, worked the Congo over, worked the Konig over, the Bayern. And yeah, it wasn't the highest damage game, but it was still a respectable amount. And I didn't throw myself away. I never put myself in that position where I was alone and things could pretty much one-shot me. And in the end of the day, I like these tier 5 and 6 vessels because you make good money. 166,000 credits, 2,000 XP towards this commander, And the ship already has 350,000 free XP sitting around on it. It doesn't need any more. Anyways, I hope you guys found this informative. I really do enjoy doing these. So comment, ask me to do these. This series started out because someone asked how I played The Sims. And I felt the best way to accurately portray some of the strategy that goes in game to game is by just commentating as I do it. You know, it's fine and dandy to pick out a really strong game and then try to be like, oh, here's why I made this decision and this decision. It's a little different doing it live because you're honest. I can't hide mistakes, and they do happen. I'm trying to remember which one, but I made a mistake, I paid for it, and the rest of the game had to be played differently. And games are going to be like that for people, so it's a good way of kind of showing you what I do when I end up in those situations. Anyways, if you liked it, please consider giving it a thumbs up or subscribing. Streaming later today at this point because it's past midnight. So please feel free to drop in, even if it's just to say hi. And like I said, I'll probably take some people into a division. We'll see how I decide to work that out, you know, rotate people through or something. But I may have some other friends around who want to play with me. If that's the case, I probably will join up with them for at least a few of the games. But who knows? Anyways, until then, I'm Qckslvrslash, and I'll have another one for you later.